4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Here isn't Steve Malzberg. You know, I get invited to come in here to New York City. It's the Joe Concha Show today, people. I'm filling in for Steve Malzberg. Steve Malzberg probably is on a beach right now earning 20%. And something to share about Steve, by the way. He has the largest feet you'll ever see of any host, period. Size 14s. And his kid apparently has the same thing. Anyway, what the hell am I talking about? I'm Joe Concha. Who is Joe Concha? I am from Mediaite.com. You may see me on CNN, Fox Business, America's Most Wanted, whatever the show you watch, I'm probably popping on there somewhere. So basically, to sum it all up, I'm the guy from that thing, okay? And today we got an awesome show lined up for you because when you're a guest host, the producers do that much more to get you really cool guests. So let me tell you who we have here. We have Representative Mike Kelly, and he is from Pennsylvania, and he's going to talk about, it's been in the news, kinda, you got to search for it. It's like page 16. It's called Obamacare. And apparently there's been a couple of problems this week. I don't know, I've seen death spiral. I've seen a wounded man, the president was called, a disaster of a press conference yesterday, they're calling it. And that was just on MSNBC. So, you know, it's the low point we're seeing right now of the Obama presidency. And in my opinion, probably the end of the Obama presidency. Yes, he's going to fill out his term. He'll be here until 2016. That's a given. But as far as being a rudderless ship without a port, a lame duck, the Aflac duck, it's basically what we have going on here at this point. Because if you think that Democrats are going to run on Obamacare in 2014, it's going to be a net positive, you're probably hanging out with the mayor of Toronto. And apparently it's not just beer with that guy. It's time to crack open a cold one, so to speak. So, we love that guy. I thought Chris Farley was dead, but apparently he's alive and well, and the mayor of Toronto. I think, actually, even though the mayor of Toronto will not resign, I believe, and I'll have to have my crack producers check this, he has a higher approval rating than the president of the United States right now, currently at 39% in some polls and dropping. And honestly, how do you really see this turning around? You know, this isn't like the other scandals. The other scandals were IRS and NSA and AP and Benghazi, and you could just go on and on. But for whatever reason, the president always stayed around 46, 47%, didn't really drop his poll numbers that much. And I think that's because those scandals, while people cared about them, it didn't affect their wallets. It didn't affect the doctor that they were seeing that they were comfortable with. You know, my wife is a doctor, for instance, and she, it's a very personal type of relationship. And the president, with this new health care plan, actually is now upsetting that relationship. Millions of people are losing their health care plans. They're seeing higher deductibles and higher premiums. And this isn't the type of scandal like, say, the NSA scandal that will just be here and we talk about it for a while in the bubble that is cable news, and then suddenly, boom, it goes away. This, because it's a law and it's something that is now embedded basically into the fiber of this country, is going to live a week. It's going to live a month. It's certainly going to affect the 2014 midterms. And dare I say, it's going to extend all the way to 2016 when Hillary Clinton will now have to defend Obamacare. And if she thinks that she could say, oh, no, I was never for universal health care, think back, remember, in 1993 when her husband tapped her to write a health care law. And it basically got laughed out of the room. So Hillary Clinton, let it be known now, she is for universal government-run health care. And the 2016 election will come down to, in a macro sense, big government programs versus smaller government, balancing budget, more nimble government. And I think that's what we're going to see when we get to 2016. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's only 36 months away. So why are we talking about the election? Because that's what we do on these kind of shows. Anyway, 3:30, Dave Briggs will be on the show. Is he talking Obamacare? No, he's from NBC Sports, a former anchor from Fox and Friends. weekend. But now he's back in the sports world. And boy, there's a lot to talk about there, too. Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin, the Miami Dolphins, the Washington Redskins scandal, if you want to call it that, still goes on. Is the Redskins name racist? Is Daniel Snyder going to acquiesce to political correctness and change it? We're going to talk about all of those topics with Mr. Briggs. Judith Miller, former reporter for the New York Times, now a Fox News contributor, she'll be joining us as well. We'll be talking about the unfair coverage the president feels he's getting on Obamacare. If you listen to the press conference yesterday, the president did take responsibility at times, did say that this is on him, but he also said that, the media probably should really be focusing more on the positives around Obamacare. Let's play clip 1, and you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about.
Am I going to have to do some work to rebuild confidence around some of our initiatives? Yeah. But part of this job is the things that go right, you guys aren't going to write about. The things that go wrong get prominent attention. That's how it's always been. That's not unique to me as president. And I'm up to the challenge.
So you can't blame Republicans for Obamacare because they didn't vote for it. You can't blame the Tea Party because obviously they're part of the Republican Party, so that's out. So he's blaming who he used to call his base, and that is the media for not covering the positive of Obamacare. But let's give the president his due for a second. What are some positives of Obamacare? Pre-existing conditions are covered, yes. And if you're up to 26 years old, you can stay in your parents' plan. That's all well and good. The question is, how do you pay for that? Well, you probably have to have X amount of people in a pool to sustain it. Healthy people, young invincibles. 2.7 million young people are needed to sustain this law, 7 million people overall. So while covering pre-existing conditions and covering folks that are 26 on their parents' plan is all good, and that's positive, and I totally agree with it. You got to pay for it somehow. And with this president, as we've seen, he likes to offer things without actually a plan to execute on things and pay for it. And that's why we're seeing the debt going where it is right now. And I'm afraid that since enrollees are so low, 100,000, that we may end up seeing a bailout of Obamacare to save the insurance industry, just like we did with the banking industry way back when. Unfortunately, I think that's where we're heading. Hey, I'm a media guy, so I like to continue with the media. Let me play one more clip. This was classic television. This was cable news at its finest. Megyn Kelly, the Kelly File. Zeke Emanuel, not the guy that Ari Gold of Entourage is based on. Let's make that very clear. That's the other Emanuel, not to be confused with Rahm Emanuel, who was the Chicago mayor. It's like a power family. But Zeke Emanuel, the doctor, the architect, the guy who is being put out on cable news to defend Obamacare. Watch this exchange and listen to who Zeke Emanuel ultimately blames for Obamacare being the debacle that it's become.
There were differences about how they wanted to run it, and they decided to run it with people in CMS having the charge for doing it. Remember, this was not an environment which was hospitable to setting up the exchanges.
I know. There was a lot
you and your colleagues were constantly criticizing, trying to underfund it, and trying to make sure it didn't work.
A lot of that criticism proved true, unfortunately.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're going to try to do everything we can to make it fail, and then when it fails, we're going to say, oh, why did it fail?
I don't think Fox News had anything to do with the rollout of healthcare.gov. As far as I know, we didn't touch that website. But listen, I want to talk to you about this.
All right, you were constantly attacking the law, and you were trying to make it underfunded.
It was all our fault.
So if you root against something hard enough, if I root against the New York Giants hard enough, they will lose. Just like healthcare.gov. Fox News, according to Dr. Emanuel, rooted against Obamacare so much it actually affected the way a website works. And that's why you're seeing the problems that we are with healthcare.gov today. Fox News somehow, through osmosis, was able to make healthcare.gov become the failure that it's become. And it's why people can't sign up. It's because the media can actually affect things from afar. It's quite remarkable. And we saw that continued, obviously, with the president yesterday, that if the media is against something, they could actually control the way things work. So anyway, look, guys, we got an awesome show lined up for you. I have not mentioned that Noah Rothman from Mediaite will be here. Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends will be here talking about his new book and the Super Bowl and Alec Baldwin and everything else. We got David Horowitz, and we have Sarah Palin, the former vice presidential candidate from 2008. What a jam-packed show. We're really looking forward to it. Great way to start off your weekend. Joe Conscious, Steve Malzberg Show, filling in. Back with more in just a moment.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's CRESCEO.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Joining us now, Representative Mike Kelly, Republican from Pennsylvania. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Joy. I sure appreciate it.
Sure. So Obamacare obviously is the only story that we're talking about right now. Congressman Brown of Georgia wants a full repeal. You're looking for more of a bipartisan effort. Where are things now? Where do you see us being in a week, a month, a year from now as far as Obamacare is concerned?
Well, I think, again, this is not a surprise to most of us. We've been trying for a long time to get a full repeal, then we try to get it at least delayed. And I think these are promises that were made by the president that are falling far short of what he said. And where I grew up, when somebody, they don't call it misspeaking. They don't talk about a variation from the truth. They talk about lies. And for 3 years, they perpetuated this lie. The biggest thing we have to do is understand there's a process that we're held accountable for. The president picks and chooses what he wants to enforce when it comes to the law. But for us, we go through a process that is one that I think the American people expect, and we have to live up to that. So I think what we see is a continual unraveling. I'm a business owner. I'm waiting for next year when the employer mandate that kicks in, and all of a sudden, all those folks who supply about half of the health care plans in the United States to their employees, all of a sudden start to say, "Hey, listen, our policies aren't going to work anymore. Our plans aren't going to work." So I think we're seeing a mass exodus, and I think it falls apart from its own underpinnings. I just don't think that when you look at the trajectory of the cost of this and where it's going, it just can't work.
Mr. Kelly, the president seems to be attempting to fix a part of the law that he doesn't like, that obviously he's getting a lot of political blowback by that. He's attempting to do this by fiat, in essence. Is this even constitutional to change parts of a law after it's been implemented without the approval of Congress?
I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I have friends that are. No, I think the president is really, again, overreaching. He's been overreaching for quite some time when it comes to picking and choosing what he's going to enforce and what he's not going to enforce. So, but again, we'll go through the process. It's very difficult to work with him because the executive branch controls so much. Once we do our investigations and we expose people for things in the House of Representatives, we have to turn it over to the Department of Justice. And from that point on, it's their duty to go ahead and with the prosecutorial part of it. But when it falls under the executive branch, and I don't think with Mr. Holder that you're going to get much cooperation. I think that we look through the constitutional process. We try to hold him accountable in the ways that people expect us to hold him accountable. And I think we turn it away from about him as a person because that seems to be the problem all the time. People say, I kind of like him. It has nothing to do with his personality with me. It has all to do with his performance, and more importantly, his lack of performance and the inability to actually run this country the right way. He's great at running for election, but he's not very good at running the country. And I think those last part, where they've known for 3 years, Joe, come on, 3 years they've continued this lie. I just don't think you can survive that. I think the American people will forgive you for a lot of things. They'll forgive you for making mistakes, but they won't forgive you for lying to them for 3 years. And that doesn't matter how you're registered. That's just the American values. We expect honesty.
And certainly, Michael, the poll numbers seem to be indicating that he's now below 40%. It's hard to see how he could reverse it, considering that there's a very good chance he will not win back. The Democrats won't. Congress in 2014. Therefore, he's not going to get through any kind of big legislation, anything that resembles big government. That's usually the Obama mantra. So I say that this is probably a lame duck presidency at this point, simply because they can't win back Congress, and no Democrat would even think about putting forth any sort of legislation that resembles a big government program right now. And I think that'll be the case for the long term. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I do agree. And I think that one of the excuses the president uses, you got to understand, he says it's such a large bureaucracy, it's hard to work within the framework, and we can't do the things we'd like to do. Well, you know what? Then why do you keep trying to expand it? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I just think the American people now understand that this is a lame duck president who's really going to have a difficult time getting anything done from here on out.
A rudderless ship, certainly. There's only about 39 days, shopping days left till Christmas, and a ghost of Christmas past came onto our TV screens this week, and that is Bill Clinton. Doesn't hold any office, but certainly it seems when he called out the president for breaking a promise, that's when we saw the President Obama we saw yesterday, which was a very contrite, very apologetic president. I think even though Bill Clinton doesn't hold office, he certainly seems to be a guy that has a lot of influence with the American people, maybe even more so than a sitting president himself. Do you think that was a turning point in this whole, I mean, obviously the turning point is the website not working, but Bill Clinton certainly calling out President Obama, that had to be just a blow to the president who depended on the president so much, President Clinton that is, during the 2012 campaign.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Joe. There's an old saying that paybacks are hell. I think the Clintons have been very patient and waited for their opening and their opportunity. What Bill Clinton did to the president the other day was kind of make him irrelevant. This goes back to whenever Mrs. Clinton and the president were running for the office. And I think at the very end there, a lot of people were saying, you know what, the Clintons remember. They don't forget when things go offices the way they would like them to go. So I think that this is an opportunity for Bill Clinton to really show just how inept this guy is. So,
Congressman,
we saw the personification of somebody who's really, really. I mean, we've seen incompetency for 5 years now. This is kind of the culmination of it, and these are people that talk the talk but cannot walk the walk.
Congressman, your last name is Kelly. I assume you're mostly Irish, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We call that, my mother's maiden name was Gallagher, and we call that Irish amnesia, where you forget everything but the grudge. And the Clintons you would think are Irish because they play it so well. I mean, Hillary is already distancing herself from Bill Clinton like Secretariat, and Bill Clinton broke out the whip, and she's kind of doing here, I think, what she did in 2008, which is Iraq War. I didn't vote for any Iraq War, and the same thing here. While she didn't vote for Obamacare, she was an architect back in 1993 for universal health care. So you see this being a big issue in 2016 for Hillary Clinton, that she's going to have to somehow defend this debacle that we've seen to this point?
I think it's one of the many things she has to defend, and in her stint as Secretary of State. And we know that the Department of State is really responsible for the security of all our overseas people in our embassies. It still comes back to whenever we lost Ambassador Stevens and 3 other Americans that night in Benghazi, her statement that what difference does it make? It's going to make a huge difference. The American people do not forget those type of statements, and they do not forget past performance or lack of performance. So I think while Mr. Clinton is very popular right now, those things always come back to haunt you, and those are things people file away. And in a year or two from now, when she's out running, that's going to come back, and that's going to be very strong because as much as she looks like the front runner for our friends on the other side, I think there's a lot of vulnerable issues there, events that she's been involved in, and it's hard to walk away from those.
Absolutely, and we saw a poll just out 2 days ago, Chris Christie, if he were to be the nominee and Hillary Clinton tied, because the election's only 36 months away, so why don't we just start doing polls about people who haven't declared yet? It's amazing.
Well, we're in a nation that we've gotten to the point. I remember when I was a kid growing up, every once in a while we got to go out and have dinner. Well, shoot, today, I mean, you yell into a speaker what you want to eat. You walk up to a window, you throw the money in one window, you go down about another 50 feet, and they throw the food out at you. These are all moments that happen very quickly, and what happens today is sometimes forgotten very quickly. But I would just say that as we look into the future, there are going to be other people to emerge. I would love to see somebody who's actually...
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's limbexjoint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Constipation, gas, bloating, most people suffer through. But now there's a simple solution for occasional digestive problems called Back2Pro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Back2Pro is the fiber probiotic formula that supports healthy digestive and immune health. And it comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. Back2Pro contains 6 powerful strains of beneficial probiotic bacteria, dietary fiber, and bacteria-nourishing prebiotics, plus powerful antioxidants. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Back2Pro. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Back2Pro.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Improve your digestive health now. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Back2Pro.com/special. That's BACTIPRO.com/special. Back2Pro.com/special.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now.
800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everybody. Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg on this Friday. Don't forget, coming up, former vice presidential candidate, former Alaska governor, best-selling author, New Jersey Devils fan, which I learned off camera, Sarah Palin. But first, speaking of sports, Pitbull, yes, well, she's a hockey mom, right?
Isn't that the
lipstick?
Right,
the,
yeah.
Remember that?
Looking for a transition there, but not finding it.
We all know Dave Briggs, formerly of Fox and Friends Weekend, then made the big jump to NBC Sports. You're the Keith Olbermann of your era. You are the back and forth guy.
Don't do that to me.
You are the Ronald Reagan went from sports to politics. I guess it's
I like
politics.
that.
All right.
There's a lot of movement back and forth. I don't know if Keith Olbermann is the role model, but there is a lot of movement back and forth.
You are the nephew of Brian Kilmeade, who is also coming up on this show a little bit later. It's a Fox and Friends reunion, basically. Here.
Yeah. Bring it on. Yeah, we do a new show. If you check it out, it's called Sports Dash, noon Eastern on NBC Sports Network.
On the NBC
with
Sports
Yahoo Sports, some good people there.
NBC Sports is just killing it. I mean, with Sunday Night Football, their ratings are just through the roof. The NFL is anybody who has any rights to the NFL right now is counting their money because no matter what goes on off the field, for whatever reason, people keep watching. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they want to say that it's getting hurt. None of this scandal, none of the bullying, none of it hurts the NFL. You're talking about
Redskins
the Giants. Look at these garbage games are getting 12, 13, 14, 15 million people. That's
more or maybe complemented by the fact that, for instance, I have 2 fantasy teams. And my wife has a fantasy team, and I drafted 4. So therefore, I have to watch because I have like 80 players I got to follow. And maybe there's a financial investment in the game, if gambling were legal, of course, outside of Vegas. You think that because other sports you can gamble on, but it's not quite the same thing. But the NFL, because of that aspect, gambling, fantasy football, and just the violence of it, is that why we're seeing those ratings even on horrible games? Dave?
The fantasy football, I think, helps explain some of the bad ratings or the good ratings on the bad games. But what shocks you with the NFL is the amount of women that watch the NFL. And I know women play fantasy football, but not to the level that men do.
5 million play in the last survey I saw. 5 million.
Yet you're seeing Sunday Night Football as the most watched show on television by women, which is hard to believe, hard to fathom. And it's in part fantasy. I think it's just the drama is perfect. Mm-hmm. It's the best television product. You know, baseball, great game, not a great TV game. Hockey, bad TV game. NBA, a little better on television, but the product for the NFL, how up close you and personal you can get into that action, and the drama, I think, quite frankly, only helps.
So you laugh then when you see Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin, is it bullying? Will this hurt the league? Or anytime a player gets a DUI, and it seems to happen every week, I think they can afford to call a cab, by the way. I can't understand why that keeps happening, or not even afford to call a cab. The league actually has a program where you can just call a number, it's anonymous, and you'll get a ride home, and yet they keep doing it. And there's all this outrage.
Dwayne Bowe, leave your weed at home.
Leave the weed. Look, that is a cardinal rule that they should be teaching in orientation.
It's not a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Don't smoke it would be number one, but if you're going to, leave it at home. They don't test for drugs during the NFL season. That stops at the preseason.
Right.
So if you're that guy, leave it at home. Yes, take a cab. But no, I don't think any of that can hurt the league. Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin, is there bullying?
What do you think of sensitivity?
Yes, there's bullying in every locker room. Believe me, I've been in locker rooms for 10 years, and there's a lot of it in all of them. It's the culture. It's built into the fabric of the NFL. And the interesting way that story's gone is, at first it was Jonathan Martin was sympathetic figure, the guy that everyone would welcome back. Now, clearly Richie Incognito will have a much easier time returning to an NFL team, whether it be the Dolphins or anyone else. Jonathan Martin may never come back to an NFL team because he will not be welcome.
Is it, Dave, because it's like the mob mentality that he's a turncoat, that he went out and exposed, he went behind the shield and said, you know what, I'm getting picked on, I don't like it, and everybody's basically saying, you know what, you're a pussycat, pal, all right, deal with it. And Richie Incognito, it's amazing the kind of support he's had from players saying, you know what, Richie's not at fault here, this is Jonathan Martin's fault, and it kind of flies in the face of the media narrative, which is, oh, of course it's Richie Incognito's fault. It's guilty until you're proven innocent.
Well, and all
Listen
the
to
guys
voicemails.
defending Incognito all admit the guy is a Class A bleep hole. I mean, this guy is a bad dude. Everyone I've spoken to in the NFL, current and former players, all the first word out of their mouth is jerk. The guy's a jerk, and everybody knows that. But this stuff happens. They knew what they were getting with Richie Incognito. And yes, Martin broke the code. And if you're not tough enough to handle this, there are mechanisms to solve it. Go upstairs, let them know what you're feeling. You don't go outside and look at what he's created.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's setting up a big lawsuit. I mean, that's probably where this ends. His mom, I don't know if his mom is a lawyer going back into workplace harassment issues decades and has written columns on workplace harassment. It looks like they're laying the groundwork for a lawsuit against the Dolphins, against the NFL. I'd be surprised if it doesn't end that way. This is a guy that does not want to play football. Jonathan Martin does not like the culture. I'm not sure he likes the game of football.
Is that because he comes from Stanford and he comes from maybe a more polished background, that when he goes into that locker room and the Richie Incognitos of the world, the nutcases, that he's just like, look, I'm too civilized for this sport?
Right. The guys I've spoken to that know Jonathan well tell me this is a guy that never really had the desire to play football. He never loved football, but he was a big, giant guy with athleticism that it just seemed natural. This is what he was going to do, and he was very good at it, and then all of a sudden it paid him millions of dollars. He never stood back and said, do I really like this game? Do I have the motor? Do I have the drive and desire to play this game? Clearly, he does not.
Interesting. Going on to another piece of political correctness that we're seeing in the NFL, and that's the Washington Redskins controversy. And the public, I'm not going to say the public calls, the press calling for Snyder to change the name from Redskins because it's seen as offensive. Do you see the Washington Redskins name as offensive, and should it be changed?
Number one, there's far too many dudes like you and me discussing this situation. I don't frankly care what a bunch of white people think about this. I want Native Americans to sit down, and I would like to hear the discussion between the pros and the cons, and I'd like to hear both sides. And I think, to his credit, that's what Dan Snyder has done. He's listened to the people that want it removed. He's listened to the people that want to keep it. And he is sticking by his guns. And he's not doing a good enough job in conveying the point that he intends to honor Native American heritage by keeping that name. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to disparage. He does not think this is. Do I think it's a seems asinine? No, I think it's a bad term that should be gone. But if I'm Dan Snyder, I'm sticking to my guns. I would just do a better job of PRing the situation.
Okay, because that's the thing, right? Dan Snyder paid $800 million for this team in 1998. It hasn't won a playoff game, I believe, since then. It's been 15 years, okay? So it's not like he's putting a winning product on the field. Yet they're number 2 in the league in attendance year in, year out. For the last 10 years, it's the most profitable team in the NFL, and that everybody is making money, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
So what impetus does he have to change the name when everybody keeps showing up to the games? You can look it up, Google it. If you're at home right now, everybody, Google Redskins protest outside of stadium, and you won't find one going on out there. Not even like 3 guys with a sign.
Yeah.
Nothing. So it's not hurting him from a PR perspective because there's no mass protests and his wallet isn't being affected. So he never has an impetus to change his name, yet it keeps staying in the press. People keep talking about it.
Well, when you have the president add his voice to the conversation, that certainly changes the dialogue a little bit. And there's one guy left in the conversation that is Roger Goodell, the most powerful man in all of sports. Once he comes down and says, look, it's time.
Can he do that, though, to a private business?
What can't Roger Goodell do? I'm not convinced he couldn't pull the plug on this right now if he wanted to. I think that eventually someone's going to explain to Dan Snyder that he could make another $1 billion by selling brand new merchandise and look like a good guy in the public. So if he can sell brand new jerseys, sweatshirts, hats, mugs. Think of the stuff. People wear socks with NFL names on them.
But could it be new Coke, too? It could be new Coke. It gets rejected.
It could, but it's the NFL. People are going to buy that stuff, especially one of the most die-hard fan bases in all of sports. They're going to buy your product.
I have a theory.
It's inevitable. The name will change at some point.
If the name changes because of Goodell won't demand that it gets done because he knows maybe even legally can't do that.
Right.
But here's what he could do. So, you want a Super Bowl in Washington, huh? Change that name, and your stadium gets that Super Bowl. What do you think? And all the reasons that you said, you're going to look good, you're going to sell new merchandise, everybody wins. And then Snyder, a businessman, may say, you know what? That's not the worst idea in the world.
What does a Super Bowl mean to an organization like that in the hundreds of millions of dollars? It will eventually come down to, yes, dollars and cents in some way. It won't be Dan Snyder caving to political correctness. That ain't never going to happen.
Speaking of off-the-field issues, and that's all we're talking about here. I'd love to talk X's and O's with you, but famous Jameis Winston, all right, Heisman Trophy favorite, I think, up until last week.
No question about it. Still the Heisman Trophy favorite.
You think so?
Yeah,
okay.
No question.
Accused of sexual assault, right? Actually, hasn't been arrested. There haven't been any charges yet. Is that enough to taint his story? Kind of the different, the 180 of Manti Te'o, where he had the great story. Will this be enough for people to say, screw it, just give it to Johnny Manziel?
I think if you have guys that are tied going into it, sitting in New York, if Manziel, he's thrown a few too many interceptions, I think, right now. If he can finish over the top and really put his numbers up to Winston's level, I absolutely think it will be enough to taint. Just in the back of your mind, does this guy have the character? Because some people admit they just vote for on-the-field prowess. Some guys say, I want to vote for a good character as well. But look, you got to realize there is nothing linking Winston to this crime at this point. There are 2 witnesses that say they were with Winston the very night 11 months ago. The police never interviewed Winston. The criminal complaint, she is not speaking up. The state's attorney's office just found out about this a couple of days ago. Well, on one hand, you could say that means the Tallahassee PD was burying this thing's star quarterback. 11 months ago, Jameis Winston, nobody knew his name. Nobody knew his name. So it wasn't protecting your Heisman Trophy quarterback. This was before anyone knew his name. I don't think there's anything on this. I think by the time we roll around to Heisman Trophy voting, Winston will have been cleared. And I also think he'll put himself far ahead of the pack in terms of, you got Manziel. I think Mariota's probably already slid a little bit. Bryce Petty from Baylor is in the conversation, and Jordan Lynch from Northern Illinois also could be in the conversation. But I think Winston's numbers will just put him over the top.
Interesting. We've got about a minute left, so I'm sure our Newsmax audience is seeing Dave Briggs and be like, wow, the guy from Fox, he's back.
That I still, to this day, that's 10-1 how I'd get recognized as, oh, you used to be on Fox and Friends. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think people really appreciate the fact that when you work for a morning show, you got to get up at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., right? Perform for 4 hours straight in a live setting, all these different guests. Not like you're covering one topic. You're doing cooking segments. There's dogs running around.
Straight into politics, straight into Egypt, and it makes your head want to explode. But it's the best rush I think I've ever had in television, just in terms of when you walk off that set. While I couldn't actually think clearly, that juggling act is just a fantastic rush.
Wow.
Getting up early, I do not miss one bit.
It's tough, definitely.
Oh, it just buries your day. How the aforementioned Brian Kilmeade does it, I have no idea. I never did it 5 days a week. Not sure I could.
Dave Briggs, thanks so much for being here. Dave Briggs, NBC Sports, Sports-Noons, NBC Sports Network.
Noon Eastern, NBC Sports Network.
Have a good weekend, pal. Appreciate it. Back with more in a moment.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of both, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
TheMatabio.com/special. That's the METABIO.com/special. While supplies last. TheMatabio.com/special.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everybody. Joe Concha filling in for the aforementioned Steve Malzberg. The Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Thanks for joining us on this considerably warmer Friday. Thank God. Boy, winter kind of came in quickly in here into the Northeast, but we're getting a little respite now as far as the temperatures are concerned. But hey, we're not here to talk about weather. We're here to talk about the temperature in Washington, D.C. And you know, I'm, as I mentioned, a media guy. I write for Mediaite. And what Mediaite does, basically, it's a publication that covers the media. There's a lot of us out there these days, watchdogs, so to speak, but we kind of take a more fun look at what's said primarily on cable news networks. And it's funny, we cover everything that Fox News says and CNN and CNBC and Fox Business, but MSNBC, for whatever reason, seems to give us the most unintentional comedy that we could ever dream of, and it just feeds us every day, and we certainly need that because we're constantly putting up content, and our readership is great. We're at about 20 million unique viewers, or readers, I should say, per month. So not bad for a startup, and that's Dan Abrams' outfit. And Dan actually used to run MSNBC way back when, and hey, what can I say? We're proud to work there. Let me play you one clip. Speaking of MSNBC, and this is Ed Schultz. Now, to give you a little background on Ed. Ed, I think, may lean slightly left, might support the president, not sure, still trying to get a read on that. But Ed had a show in prime time, and he had it at 8 o'clock after Keith Olbermann left. And then they moved him to 10 o'clock. But then they realized that maybe this isn't working out, so they put him on weekends. And when weekends really weren't working out either, then they put him back on weekdays at 5 o'clock, taking Chris Matthews' old hardball spot. And Ed hasn't had a good week, just like the president hasn't had a good week. Basically, the two go hand in hand. When things go bad for the president, things go badly for Mr. Schultz. Here is one example. Gentlemen, clip 3, please.
We are not going to gut this law. We will fix what needs to be fixed, but we're going to make the Affordable Care Act work, and those who say they are opposed to it and can't offer a solution will push back.
Yeah! Oh. Mr. President, respectfully, the next time you go into the press room in Washington, you give it to them. You let them have it. This is good. This is great for America. This isn't about appeasing a bunch of negative Nellies that are sitting in the room that want to see you fail.
I thought Howard Dean didn't look like that. Did you hear that? I can't even do it. My voice doesn't quite go there. So what Ed is basically saying is that the president should be hammering back at the media, hammering back at his critics that Obamacare actually is going quite well, and everything is hunky-dory in D.C. as far as the health care law is concerned. And I guess my question is, and this is an honest question, does Ed actually believe what he's saying, or is he just like a bad reality TV actor like The Situation or Puck from the real world? I believe it was San Francisco. Is he just putting on an act to appeal to the stupidest of the stupid who may be watching him and actually believe what he says? Now, ratings reflect that Ed's act is becoming a tired one. And if you compare, let's say, Fox, and they have a show called The Five, a panel discussion on, which is pretty cheap to produce. They put 5 people around the table and say, hey, talk about stuff. And the chemistry on that particular set has given them top ratings, usually top 3 in cable. Meanwhile, Ed is, well, not in the top 3. I don't even think he's in the top 30. It gets beat by something like a 5-to-1 margin. So it's funny if Ed Schultz thinks that kind of rhetoric is being bought by even his audience, which is as partisan as it gets, and comes there to have their beliefs basically justified. That certainly isn't the case. So to Mr. Schultz, I appreciate the effort, but at the same time, boy, you are giving us all the type of material that Mediaite can ever dream of and more. Let's play one more clip, guys. This is Tamron Hall. She is also of MSNBC. And she snaps at a Senate Democrat who took the Zeke Emanuel / President Obama / Ed Schultz route of blaming the media from Obamacare. Roll it.
I think it is an added pressure. If the website were up and running effectively, this would certainly be an issue, the cancellations, but not the headline. But when you're looking at a 1-2 punch, it is easy for people, and perhaps rightfully so, to lose confidence in what's happening regarding ACA.
No, you guys just decide the headlines, not us. I just think that ultimately we should be telling the story.
Well, I don't think that's true, with all due respect. I mean, I didn't ask Senator Landrieu to propose legislation. I didn't ask any of your colleagues who are Democrats to go on radio and anonymously be quoted in newspaper articles and everywhere else.
Well, good for you, Tamron Hall, for stepping back and saying, you know what, what do you want us to cover? What positive aspects of Obamacare do you want us to cover? The bottom line is it's higher premiums, higher deductibles, losing doctors you're comfortable with, and millions losing plans that they once had. That in media is called the lead. And that is the only story that we're seeing around Obamacare. Oh, yeah, and healthcare.gov kind of doesn't work, and it ain't going to work December 1st, despite what the administration may have said earlier this month. Hey, guys, it's Friday. Kick back. We got a great show for you. Sarah Palin coming up. We're going to talk about everything from her new book to Chris Christie to John Boehner to, well, hockey. So we look forward to it. This is the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. We'll be back in just a moment.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's Cresceo.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Top officials made their way to Capitol Hill Wednesday to answer more questions about the disastrous rollout of healthcare.gov. House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa called the website rollout a monumental mistake. He presented documents that show he voiced concern that the website was not secure prior to its launching. Meanwhile, former President Bill Clinton added to the mounting pressure on President Obama to fix the website and other problems, including insurance cancellation, that also continue to plague the healthcare overhaul.
I personally believe, even if it takes a change in the law,
the president should honor the commitment the federal government made to those people and let them keep what they got.
Initial reports show that only 100,000 people have completed the enrollment process on the Obamacare website so far, a number that is significantly lower than what the administration was expecting by this point in the year. Official enrollment figures for the month of October will finally be released sometime later this week. And the situation in the typhoon-ravaged Philippines continues to deteriorate. A delay in relief efforts, including supplies, food, and fresh water, caused panic among survivors who have taken matters into their own hands. 8 people were crushed to death when thousands stormed a rice warehouse looking for food. Survivors have looted homes, malls, and garages, taking food, water, and other goods that they can find. Others were so desperate for clean water that they dug up pipes.
The goal of our family is to leave this city so that we can start a new life.
We provide medical aid, search and rescue, and assessments in communities so that we can better inform the government and the military what's needed.
Aid is slowly trickling in, though, but it remains a challenge as many of the roads are still blocked from the storm. A UN humanitarian chief says that they have been unable to reach some of the most remote communities. The organization launched an appeal for over $300 million in aid. The official death toll stands at well over 2,000, with at least 2 Americans among the dead. And the American Heart Association is taking a new approach when it comes to treating high cholesterol. New guidelines encourage doctors to calculate risk factors, including age, weight, and blood pressure, and then prescribe statins if a patient appears to have even a moderate risk of heart attack or stroke. Previous guidelines focused more on a person's LDL, or so-called bad cholesterol score. Heart disease is the country's #1 killer. Over 500,000 people die each year in the U.S. from heart disease, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, we're joined by Mark Halperin, who co-wrote the new book, Double Down, what he's saying about that comment from President Clinton. What could it mean for Hillary come 2016? Plus, a rare orange diamond sets a record at auction. See how much someone was willing to pay for this rock.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Welcome back. A rare orange diamond was auctioned off, the largest of its kind, and it sold for a record price per carat during a Christie's auction in Geneva, Switzerland. That price was $35 million. During a Newsmax exclusive with Mark Halperin, who co-wrote the new book Double Down with John Heilemann, we talk about that comment that Bill Clinton made. Was Clinton trying to cajole President Obama to alter his namesake legislation, or was it just a slip of the tongue? Halperin also weighed in on what the president's comments could mean, the former president's comments, could mean for the potential candidate Clinton.
But you can bet that Hillary Clinton today
is thinking about, boy, where does this leave us? Where does this leave me in terms of Obamacare?
And that's going to do it for this edition of your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Remember, for more exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax TV and Newsmax.com. Right now, we're going to send it back to New York for the Steve Malzberg Show.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everybody. Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Thanks so much for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Judy Miller coming up in a moment. She's only won a Pulitzer. She's only a Fox News contributor, and she's got a lot to say of what's going on in the media today. We're going to talk about the Jana Winter case, something that a lot of people aren't talking about. Also, lots to do as far as the Lara Logan piece on 60 Minutes, lots to talk about there as well. But joining me now is the aforementioned Judith Miller, my friend from the old show Fox News Watch. I can't believe it's already past tense. Judy, thanks so much for being here.
Nice to be with you.
How's your Friday going?
Oh, very well, thank you.
Okay, good. Judith, I don't know if a lot of folks really know the true measure of your background as far as spending 85 days in jail. That happened a couple of years ago for your refusal to testify and reveal a source. Now we have Jana Winter, Fox News, a case that not a lot of people are, I thought more in media circles where I work, in the mediaites of the world and on the reliable sources of the world and on the media buzzes of the world, that this would be a bigger case. And I don't hear about it as much. Why don't you fill the folks in exactly what Ms. Winter's up against as far as what's going on in the courts and what kind of precedent this could set for reporters moving forward?
Okay, Steve. Well, basically, Jana Winter is a young reporter at Fox News who just breaks a lot of news and makes a lot of stories. And she was out in Colorado for the the James Holmes shooting incident.
The Aurora movie.
Exactly,
movie
the Aurora movie massacre, where he was dressed up as Batman and
Joker.
Went in and, exactly, Joker, right? And I'm getting my cartoon characters confused here. And she disclosed the fact, and it was a world-class scoop, that he had sent a notebook that he had written with stick figure drawings and a kind of plans for what seemed to be this movie attack. He had sent that to his psychiatrist at the University of Colorado, and that envelope had sat on her desk for a week unopened. And she disclosed this fact, although the judge had put a gag order on all of the evidence relating to this case. And judges tend to get very annoyed when law enforcement officials and others talk to the press in violation of their gag orders. And so they began in trying to investigate this leak, who had leaked her information. They interviewed about 17 different law enforcement officials. Every one of them said, no, it wasn't me. And then they decided that the only way to find out who leaked her the information was to ask her, put her on the stand, and demand that she give up the source of that information. Well, she's not going to do that. She's an investigative reporter. Anybody in this business, as you well know, knows that we live and die by our sources. If, they're wrong, we're wrong, but without them, we're nothing. We have no news. So she has taken the position that she's not going to talk, and she'll go to jail if necessary to protect her sources. By the way, this is such a diversion from the fact that James Holmes is out there still not being tried. I mean, the trial doesn't get underway again until January 3rd, 2014. It's a sideshow. It's a distraction from what should be the trial of this terrible person.
My goodness. Judith, and we're here with Judith Miller, a Fox News contributor, Newsmax contributor, Pulitzer Prize winner. Had to go to jail for 85 days herself for not revealing a source. Judith, is this not getting as much press? I tend to think if Jenna Winter worked for ABC News or CBS News, for some reason, this would be bigger on the radar. You think because Fox is kind of, for instance, the president or Valerie Jarrett said, no, that's an illegal, not illegal, but an illegitimate news organization. And some people look at Fox like, you know what, if it's a Fox reporter, fine, let him go to jail. Do you think that because it's a Fox News reporter that this isn't getting as much attention as it probably deserves?
Well, I'd like to think that isn't the case, but I have to conclude that it may well be a factor with some news organizations. I do want to salute a couple of people. BuzzFeed had an energetic reporter who's followed this case closely, and there have been a couple of other news organizations that have devoted considerable time and attention to it. But it really wasn't until after the slew of subpoenas that went out to the AP reporters and then to James Rosen of Fox News, where they virtually used suspicion of violating the Espionage Act to get a warrant for his emails and telephone records.
Right, that whole scandal.
It wasn't until all of this came into place and people began to realize that Jonna Winter was not an exception. She was kind of part of an onslaught against the press. This administration, while speaking about the virtues of transparency and having the most open government, is actually very secretive. And as Len Downey of the Washington Post, hardly a kind of right-winger, wrote in a recent very thorough and very troubling report for the Reporters Committee, that this has been the worst administration since Nixon when it comes to treatment of the press. So this is strong stuff, and people are beginning to wake up. And I think now reporters and journalists at news organizations across the country are beginning to realize that they must pay attention to the Jonna Winters of the world.
Absolutely, and we hope it all works out well for. You talk about the administration and transparency. When they're not being transparent, they seem to blame the media, as we saw at the president's press conference yesterday, basically saying, hey, you guys aren't covering the positive aspects of Obamacare, and instead you're concentrating on the, how did the New York Times put it exactly, the incorrect promises,
The incorrect
Judy?
promises, yes. This is the grand euphemism of the day.
Well, no.
I mean, but in the New York Times defense, we have to acknowledge, if you read their editorial today, it was stunning. I mean, the New York Times has loved this program. It did not do a lot of investigation into how the program would work prior to the glitches as they began to emerge, as we call them. But they had a stunning editorial today, and as you may have read it, Stephen, which they said that this what's happened with this rollout of Obamacare and the number of people who've signed up, and not just the website, but
how could you avoid it, Judy? Right? I mean, how could you avoid just what a debacle it's been? Even the New York Times can't avoid what we're seeing before our eyes.
But they didn't have to say this, which is what they said, that this was a huge blow to his personal credibility, and that they didn't know whether and when he would be able to get it back.
Judy,
and that's very important.
That's extremely important. We got about 90 seconds. Want to talk about your old paper, the New York Times? They lost Brian Stelter this week. He's going to CNN. Yep. They've lost several top. Whether it be editors, whether it be writers. And I just wonder that if the old gray lady is looking a lot older to some of these reporters who are trying to make it their own kind of brand, and maybe, we talk about the Carlos Slim loan and the money that the paper may or may not be losing. Are we at a point now where what we're seeing at the New York Times and the exodus of reporters, that really digital media has won the day, and it's only a matter of time maybe until the New York Times is no more? About 45 seconds, Judy.
Well, I would hope that that's not the case, because I continue to believe that my old paper, my former paper, is an invaluable institution, and it is a great news organization. 1,000 reporters, editors, people involved in the production of news. There's nothing quite like it when it comes to foreign news. I have points that I can be very critical of, and I'm going to be in my book next year, but I think that it would be a great shame if the New York Times were not able to make its way in this digital new world, and if a lot of what passes for news in the form of blogs comes to substitute for it, because people need reliable, and I still think impartial. I'm not going to say objective, but a paper
Sure.
that attempts to be impartial.
I couldn't agree more. And, there's something about Sundays and having that heavy New York Times in your bed is there's nothing like it. So
lighter than it used to be.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Judy, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate your perspective, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Constipation, gas, bloating, most people suffer through. But now there's a simple solution for occasional digestive problems called Bactipro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Bactipro is the fiber probiotic formula that supports healthy digestive and immune health. And it comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. Bactipro contains 6 powerful strains of beneficial probiotic bacteria, dietary fiber, and bacteria-nourishing prebiotics, plus powerful antioxidants. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Bactipro.com/special. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Improve your digestive health now. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/special. That's BACTIPRO.com/special. Bactipro.com/special.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/special. That's prostaterevive.com/special.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Steve, you dog. He has huge feet, by the way. I just have to share that again. The sneakers are just overwhelmingly large, and they're very, very white. And we got to get a picture of that, guys, at some point before before I leave today. We'll see if we can find one. Joe Concha filling in for the large-footed Steve Malzberg here on Newsmax TV and Newsmax Radio. And Noah, great. We get to transition right to you from Mediaite. Noah, are you on the line, sir?
I am, sir.
How's it
Thank you
going?
for having me. I'm doing great. Very relatively small-footed, but great.
Welcome to the club. Hey, you did a piece this morning on Chuck Todd, and he was remarking that the president is at the low of his presidency. And basically the piece ends with Todd speculating that there might be a shakeup as far as cabinet members are concerned. Here's the thing, and I don't know if you've read Double Down yet, but in the book they talk about how President Obama only met with his cabinet once during an election year in 2012, that he seems to lean on his advisors a lot. So do you think that firing somebody from the cabinet is really going to make a difference when he tends to lean more on the Valerie Jarretts of the world anyway?
Yeah, Valerie Jarrett's, the David Plouffe, the communication side of things tend to be where, from those obviously who have access, see him leaning a lot on in the cabinet level positions. I mean,
we've seen throughout this presidency, whether it be from the aforementioned Valerie Jarrett or President Obama saying, don't listen to Rush Limbaugh, it's affecting the way we govern in D.C., don't watch Fox News, it's illegitimate. Have you ever seen a president as thin-skinned as President Obama? He's reminded me of Alec Baldwin right now.
He certainly does tend to be a little bit more sensitive to criticism, I think, from the press than a lot of other presidents are. But the media as a foil for presidents has been, a time-honored tradition since the beginning of the political press. And you're going back to literally the founding of the country, that the president the president and the ruling class has been able to blame the press for a lot of their problems. So I don't blame him for that. And frankly, there's no universe in which millions of people losing their health coverage and looking at the prospect of starting a year after an open enrollment period without health coverage isn't a crisis. The fact that it's not leading the evening news every single night and people aren't in the streets is a testament to how the president benefits from the media climate. So his tisking at and scolding the media sort of falls on deaf ears with me, at least.
Joe Concha, Newsmax TV and Radio, here with Noah Rothman of the great Mediaite.com. I want to test something out with you here. No, it's an idea for an article that I'll be doing for Mediaite soon. But George W. Bush, speaking, of presidents and one that rarely talks to the press and never criticizes President Obama. It's funny. You always hear from Clinton and Carter, but you never hear from George W. Bush, 41 or 43, and that just shows you the class of that family. But George W. Bush will be on the Jay Leno show next week, and I'm seeing a pattern. I don't know if you are. Well, first they had Ted Cruz on there, then Mitt Romney, now George W. Bush. Is Jay Leno now the go-to guy for conservatives, where they think they could actually get a fair shake and they're not going to be attacked if they went, say, on Letterman or Stewart?
I don't know. Maybe. That's kind of an interesting theory. Personally, I would be surprised to the point of shocked if George W. Bush broke with his pattern of divorcing himself from the day-to-day politics of things. Everybody wants to get him on record. If he ever got on record by virtue of his own silence over the course of the last 5 years, it would be earth-shattering. It would go everywhere. And the debate would be shifted dramatically from the president's failures and the failure of his administration and his signature policy achievement to the classlessness of the former president, beginning to undercut him in the public sphere. So I think that Bush has been very smart. I think a lot of people think he's been very smart by keeping himself out of the limelight and not talking about politics, and I really doubt that he's going to break his silence on Jay Leno's show.
One show that isn't silent is The Five on Fox, and there is a similar show to it called The Cycle on MSNBC, and I was speaking to an executive who said, if Phil Griffin had another word for Gajonas, he would have just called it The Four and put it on at 4 o'clock. But why does why is that show so successful? And I mean by successful, it's usually a top 3 show. And it's just a panel discussion, just like there's been plenty before it. Why does that show do so well? And we got about 2 minutes. And why does The Cycle seem to struggle so much when it's pretty much the same format?
Disagreement. And it used to be much better. When Steve Kornacki and S.C. Cupp were on that program, there was genuine disagreement. It was really a heated debate. And it was fascinating to watch. It was actually a good show. It's a watered-down, hollow version of itself now because there really isn't any debate. It's just a series of snarky jokes, and people one-up each other with some snark. While there's some genuine friendships on The Five, they actually do have a tendency to really get into each other's faces and have some real heated arguments. And that's what you call compelling television. It's really not rocket science.
My only beef with The Five is I really wish they'd make it 3-on-2. Give me Beckel and Williams and then give me 3 conservatives. And I think it would even be more combative. But, hey, who am I to argue with, doing 500s in the demo at 5 o'clock?
I tend to agree.
So,
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, Noah, I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you get back to work because I'm sure you're thrilled to do that. But thanks for joining us on a Friday afternoon. And, keep up the great work and say hi to everybody over there. And I've been touting Mediaite since I've been on here. But there is an appetite for what we do, and that is media that judges the media, but we do it kind of in a fun way, and you won't find anybody in cable news who doesn't read our publication. So there's the big Mediaite plug. Ask for a raise. I know I'm going to, and we'll talk to you again soon on Newsmax.
Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right, Noah.
Have a good one.
Noah Rothman, Mediaite.com. Great writer, guys. Definitely check him out, and check out Mediaite in general. We're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. We got Tommy Christopher, who is an unabashed liberal, and he's not afraid to say it. We got Andrew Carell, who is a libertarian. You got me, who the heck knows what I'm going to write about, and then we got Noah, who is a conservative, but certainly a pragmatic one. So Mediaite.com. Definitely want you to check it out. Also want you to check out later in the show, we're going to be talking to Sarah Palin. She'll be joining us here at Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. I'm Joe Concha, filling in for Steve Malzberg. Back with much more in...
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
In 2013, Half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge? Support nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's CRESCEO.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive healthcare law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already a New York Times bestseller. Every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare311.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
ABIO.com/special while supplies last. TheMatabio.com/special.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, in for Steve Malzberg. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Joined by Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends and best-selling author of a great book. And, I've started to read this. Truthfully, I have not finished it. Just got it yesterday, but already it's a page-turner. George Washington's Secret Six, the spy ring that saved the American Revolution. Brian, thanks for being here.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, when I was in junior high school and high school, and they taught us about the American Revolution, this story never came up.
Right, and it would have been great, wouldn't it? I mean, to learn about spies, it's something every kid can lean into. In fact, you would think that it might even be a good kid's book, except for it reads like a novel, but it actually happened. I mean, you have tavern owners and bartenders and farmers and dry goods owners and longshoremen, all who kept their jobs during the war because commerce had to continue, but what they were really doing with all their free time was spying for George Washington.
Amazing. And you're from Long Island.
Yeah.
Grew up there. And a lot of this takes place using the Long Island Sound to get messages out of New York and up to Washington and Connecticut. Tell us a little bit more about that.
What it is really, and we did, is I actually went to those places. And on foxandfriends.com, you can see George Washington's Secret Six, The Trail. I just went through and showed you where everything is. Essentially, think out east. Think of the Hamptons if you're watching around the country. And everybody goes to the Hamptons. Well, a little bit west of the Hamptons is Setauket. Now, Setauket is an area which was the British had infiltrated, but they were very hard, very tough people. And they were not happy happy with the British role. They played it as thugs. They were extremely tough with what they thought were the colonies. They were uprising. They wanted to crush them right away.
Was hanged, wasn't
yeah, Nathan Hale came over from Connecticut. So you had Setauket was one area, and then the other area was Oyster Bay, which is 20 miles from Manhattan, and the other area is where we are right now. Is Manhattan. You got Greenwich Street with the dry goods owner shop, Rivington Street, which is actually Rivington Street, which is James Rivington. He actually had a print shop there. And you had the Long Island Sound. I mean, and just picture a circle as they go in 55 miles from Setauket to Manhattan. Pick up a note. 55 miles back, and then they would give it to a longshoreman. And with 6 other guys, they would row across 26 miles across the Long Island Sound. And with them, in their sock, in their body, somewhere hidden, was a note that Washington had to have. And how would he be able to read it? He had sympathetic stain, that's what they called it, and was written in invisible ink. And it would bring that whole letter to life.
That's amazing. The best picture last year, the movie that won Best Picture was Argo, right? And Ben Affleck brought this to life. And I see a lot of parallels, believe it or not, between Argo, which was about the hostages in Iran, and 6 Americans that actually had to hide out of the Canadian minister's house because they were able to get out of the embassy before the Iranians knew that they were missing at first. And this was a story no one had really ever heard of before because they held it until the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then when it got out, it never really got the publicity it should have until Affleck made a movie about it. Now, same thing here, right? This is something that no one ever heard about before. In fact, it wasn't until the 1930s until we heard anything about this spy ring.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And like Argo, yeah, Jimmy Carter, everybody knows. You know about the role of the Canadian embassy and getting the hostages out, people know. But what happened is within there is where the real drama took place. You know George Washington, you know Alexander Hamilton, you know Benedict Arnold, you know Nathan Hale. Well, within those big stars come the real drama of the story. And it's a story that any mess up, any slip up, and you die. And Nathan Hale is an example of that. He was a spy, well-meaning, but a better soldier than spy, no experience, didn't even know the land, had no real legitimate cover story except for wanted to be a teacher, and he's coming to teach the Dutch English in the area. So he goes to do that. Well, his story didn't hold up. He lets it slip to somebody he thinks is sympathetic to him. Next thing you know, he's at 66 and 3rd hanging from a branch. He was hanged. So looming in their head while they're doing all this was, if we mess up, I'm dead and my family's dead.
Fox is probably known as one of the most pro-military cable news outlet out there. I mean, everybody is, of course, but you feature military servicemen more than any other cable network.
Right.
And it seems like they're just so, the impression that I get of the military in general is just anybody who's in Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Navy SEALs, they never want any credit for anything. And after reading what I've gotten through in this book and reading about this spy ring a little bit more, it seemed like that's what they wanted also, and that's why we didn't hear about their stories until so many years later.
Right, not even meeting Washington. I mean, my thing is, I got all the historians together, and I would talk to them, and they sit out there in their mini museums, and they talk to school kids on a daily basis. They don't do it for the money, they don't do it for the glory, and I would come out, and I would ask them a million questions. And I've done this really on and off for the past 10 years, and one thing they made it clear, I wanted to find out, did these guys ever meet Washington? When Washington came by in 1790, when he finally became president, even though he didn't think he was going to when he left in 1983 from Lower Manhattan, he comes through, and the only guy that we could figure out that actually met Washington, never took any money, never got any fame, was Austin Rowe, the bartender. Why do we know that? Well, he actually stayed in the upstairs of the bar, which is called the Tavern, that still exists today. There was Abraham Woodhull. He came within 3 miles of him and his location, so logic would tell you, because the Woodhulls were a pretty famous family on Long Island back then, pretty prominent, that they did meet. But besides that, Caleb Brewster, they had a relationship because we found a letter. He's a longshoreman. We found a letter saying, hey, General Washington, I had a musket ball in my neck. I couldn't work for 2 years. They promised me benefits, the same problems we have today. Could I get some Revolutionary War benefits, essentially? So we knew they had some type of relationship. But Robert Townsend, James Rivington, and 355, who was the woman who we think lost her life before the war ended, we didn't see it there. Robert Townsend, the best spy, the most accomplished spy, according to Washington's own words, he clearly had mixed emotions about it because this whole being duplicitous. If you're duplicitous and you're a spy, even if it's for the right reasons back then, maybe it's not looked at in the best light.
Amazing. And George Washington, you're a sports guy. Probably could have played basketball if the sport existed then. Kind of a tall, lanky guy. How did he never get shot I mean, he was always in the front lines. He didn't lay back and let everybody. He was in the thick of it, and yet he avoided getting shot. It's remarkable.
And the thing is too, dates back to the French-Indian War. They said that the Indians were targeting him because he was a colonel then, and he was a real nemesis to him, and they didn't think he could hit him. And I found the 77-page biography of a guy that was by his side the entire war, and they said when the fighting started, he didn't flinch, he didn't budge, he didn't move. He just had a thought process that said, "I'm not going to get hit." And he's had horses blown out from underneath him, and he's gotten up, dusted off, and got back up. That's part of the majesty of Washington. He was a megastar even at that time.
Let's transition over to our current president, who has had better weeks, right? How do you see
worst week ever by far?
Oh, easily, yes. We're definitely seeing the low of his presidency, and polls definitely reflect that. Where do you see this big picture going? In other words, it's 2014. My contention is that there's no way Democrats could win back the House. I never thought they could anyway because there weren't a lot of swing districts. And if you listen to Nate Silver, who's like Nostradamus, he said it probably wasn't going to happen anyway. But now with Obamacare being such an albatross around a lot of Democrats out there, and you can't run on it, right? I don't see how that happens.
You got to run from it.
You got to run from it, exactly. So are we seeing basically the beginning of the lame duck status of the Obama presidency?
Well, if he does lose the Senate, it is lame duck status, number one. Number two, I saw something in that press conference I never thought I'd see. Here's a guy without a political base to lean on because he's all abandoned him. Here's a guy who had the force to say, essentially, what I was telling you for the past 3 years was not true. And then his way of solving that problem was not accepted by insurance business, not accepted by the Democrats, not accepted by Republicans. So his way of solving his problem, which is talking his way out of it, failed really for the first time, arguably, in his adult life. Wow. He's used to be able to talk about it. So I have a problem seeing him accomplishing anything else. What do you know that could swamp this? What could possibly happen? I mean, some type of, God forbid, a terror attack, that would swamp Obamacare, but still, if you are not directly, you are indirectly affected by health care. So I don't see him getting out from under it. I see some parallels with George Bush and the Iraq War.
Katrina also as well?
Katrina, yeah. If you look at the war, for example, people voted for the war. Why? Because the world community said he had weapons of mass destruction. You could skew it and twist it and say, well, he made it up, he lied to... Well, that's a made up, and that's a lie.
A lot of people apparently lie because Clinton said the same thing.
Germany, so we got it. But that's what a lot of people said. Hillary Clinton lost the primary because, hey, Barack Obama, State Senator Obama, was against the war. The senator from New York voted for the war, so that cost him. Can you imagine the vote for Obamacare? I don't care if you're Mark Begich and you said, well, I wanted to fix it. I don't care if your Senator Hagan is, I knew it wasn't perfect. You voted for it, and it's a disaster. That means you didn't research it. That means you took this man at his word. That means that all those things Republicans were saying were actually true. Even the delay, if you deliberated on the delay like Joe Manchin, you'd have more of a leg to stand on. I don't see how those senators in a blue state, without flat out divorcing themselves from the president, keep that position.
You mentioned Hillary before, and there is a parallel here, right? Because she had to run away from her Iraq vote.
Yeah.
Now, how does she run away from Obamacare? She could say, well, no, I was the Secretary of State, it doesn't matter. But remember, in 1993, she was tapped to write Bill Clinton's health care initiative, universal health care. It basically got laughed out of the room. So it's not like she isn't for universal health care, government-run health care. Will this be a game changer in 2016 where people could say, you know what, Hillary's just going to extend what President Obama tried to start with bigger government and programs like this?
You know what's intriguing about both our jobs is that I don't know. But I will say this, I love the fact that there's a blank line and it's fill in the blank. I think we saw the beginning of the divorce from Obamacare on Tuesday when, in that nondescript website, former President Clinton made it clear that President Obama's got to make this right and go do something for those people who lost their insurance. I think he was speaking for his wife just a little bit, but I think they'll have very little problem separating themselves from President Obama, and I just wonder when it starts. When it begins to start, that'll be fascinating because that'll divide the party in half.
Interesting. MSNBC is seen as a supporter of the president. And I'm
by who? Give me a second to get my equilibrium. Okay, you're right. I'm okay, Joe.
So they have a host on there that has a 10 o'clock spot only on Fridays, and that's Alec Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin, he's a spokesman for Capital One. He's an accomplished actor. He's won Emmys. He's been nominated for Academy Awards. He's done it all, basically. But he seems to have a temper problem. He seems to, you speak of equilibrium, his seems to be a little bit more off than yours. Let's play a clip, guys. Number 15, Alec Baldwin yelling at a photographer just yesterday. Well, it's a good thing we put asterisks over those two words because
I
no one
can't
can figure out what that is.
I'm not really good at Wheel of Fortune either, so I'm struggling. And this is 2 days prior where he yelled, I hope you choke to death to another photographer, and then what went wrong in your life that you actually have to be a photographer?
If Brian Kilmeade said this.
It's over.
It's over.
And Joe, you too. I don't know anybody. Look at what happened to Kramer from Seinfeld. He had one meltdown on a stage as bad as it was. Michael Richards has not been back. This guy had it up 3 months ago. He had racial epithets, called a guy who is African American, a former cop, called him a crack addict.
Are you sure you don't have to confuse with Paula Deen because she lost her career as well?
Great example. Get it.
That's amazing. It's amazing also. I have a Capital One card, by the way. And what's that?
And
what's in your wallet?
Are you going to cut that up, Joe?
No, I actually, my life depends on it. But I wonder if you say cut up, I wonder if Capital One is going to cut off Alec Baldwin finally. How much longer can you endure this sort of bad PR? If you're Phil Griffin, the president of MSNBC, how could you continue to put him on? If you're Rachel Maddow, how are you not speaking out if you're such an advocate of gay rights? I don't understand how he keeps getting a free pass.
And Joe, by the way, I know you're wrapping up, but if he knows all this is at stake and he's still going off, he's clearly got a problem, a mental, emotional problem. I mean, for him to know that people are watching, they're rolling, he's just coming off a trial in which he claimed not to have sexual relations with that woman, his stalker, who goes to prison. Can you leave New York? Can you not be in public for a while? Who's his publicist, manager / agent?
You say leave New York. What's coming to New York? We got to end on a sports question because we're both sports guys at heart.
Yeah.
Who is in the Super Bowl this year at the Meadowlands over in New Jersey? Who wins? 25 seconds.
I would say the Denver Broncos will be from the AFC. I cannot figure out right now from the NFC, but I will tell you one thing. Peyton Manning will be there.
And I think the people broadcasting that particular Super Bowl.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management plan need an extra edge for success? If so, listen up. Metabio is the revolutionary weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program. Metabio is the premium nutritional supplement power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. When used as part of a healthy lifestyle, each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Not quite. Here is Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg. The Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Thank you, everybody, for being here on a Friday afternoon as we're coming up on 5 o'clock here in the East. Start of a big weekend. If you're a sports fan anyway, you got to love November. You got college football coming to its crescendo. You have the NFL, which is always exciting. And, of course, you're going to have the Sunday talk shows talking about the only thing that's being talked about on cable news, and that, of course, is Obamacare. And just when you think about it, can you ever really look back on any government program that has rolled out in a more horrific fashion than this has, starting with healthcare.gov, October 1st, a rollout of a website which was tested and wasn't passing tests. And despite that, and despite the president not asking questions, hey, how's that website going? Is everything working okay? And Kathleen Sebelius saying, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead with October 1st anyway. It's a hard and fast deadline, but look, it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Go ahead with it. What could possibly go wrong? And sure enough, that was the start. Now, that was during the government shutdown, remember. So for 2 weeks, we didn't hear too much about it. And we just figured, well, you know, it's a big program and there's going to be a couple of glitches. But then it became an avalanche and it just kept snowballing and snowballing. And now where are we at? 100,000 enrollees. We don't know how many of those are the young invincibles, the 2.7 million young, healthy people that are needed to sustain this law, the 7 million that are needed overall. We only have a fraction now at this point. So if we're looking at this from a macro level, from a 30,000-foot view, what does this mean for liberal programs moving forward? Big government. If this doesn't work, what politician is ever going to go and say, you know what, I got this great idea where we could spend a lot of money, government money, and it could be a government-run program. It could make people's lives better. I think that this basically stenches up the room for years and years to come. And let's play clip 9 right now. This is George Stephanopoulos, and it's about Obama and the entire progressive vision going up in flames as a result of the debacle that we've seen over the last 6 weeks. Go.
Even when Americans disagreed with him, they trusted him and liked him. If that personal credibility crumbles, everything else falls.
That number had always held from BP to Benghazi. That number had held, but it had started to go down. So this isn't just about Obamacare in their view.
Not at all. This is the president's signature achievement. That it would be a black mark for it not to work. But bigger than that, this has the potential to undermine his entire legacy, his entire vision of government. I went back and read the president's inaugural speech from just the beginning of this year. This was a ringing call to what he called collective action, government action. If government doesn't work here, he is not going to be able to advance that agenda for activist, ambitious government. His entire vision for his second term begins to collapse.
The ABC anchor knows of which he speaks, and that is that Obamacare is not just about a health care law not working and people not getting health care. This is about a strategy moving forward. This is about, let's say, the 2014 elections. And let's face it, Democrats were never going to get back Congress in the first place, even with the government shutdown and the Republican brand being damaged from that. Nate Silver, the next Nostradamus, he said that, look, there aren't many swing districts. There aren't enough races to turn Congress back to the Democrats. If the president doesn't have Congress in his back pocket like he did in the beginning of his presidency, and that's, remember, when Obamacare was passed, he can't push any big ticket agenda items that he'd like to moving forward. Without that, what we have is a rudderless ship without a port. We have a lame duck president. And that's what we're seeing right now. But then moving forward, really, let's look ahead to 2016. If you're Hillary Clinton, can you run on big government? Can you run on a government-run healthcare system? And she can't say, hey, I was never for that. 1993, remember, Bill Clinton did task her with creating a health care law. It was basically laughed out of the room by her own party, and that's going to be a problem for Hillary, and that's going to be an opportunity for the Chris Christies of the world or the Ted Cruzes of the world or the Rand Pauls or whoever gets the Republican nomination. The 2016 election, it's always about the economy, yes, to a certain extent, but it's also going to be really a battle between big government programs and smaller government, more nimble government, getting our deficits and debt under control. That suddenly becomes a narrative that really pushes the political wins behind the Republicans going into that. Now, the only question is, who are they going to nominate? Will it be Chris Christie? Wins by 22 points in a decidedly blue state, wins with Hispanics, wins with women, obviously wins with men. Chris Christie, right now, you could say, is the favorite. But then again, in 2008, remember who was the favorite around this time? Actually, it would be 2005. But going into the 2008 election, it was once Rudy Giuliani who was the favorite going into that election. So 36 months away, a lot could happen. Who knows? Who knows who's going to emerge over the next couple of months, even years, as far as the Republican nominee. So, but hey, this is what we do in cable news. We speculate on these things 36 weeks out or 36 months out. Anyway, coming up on the top of the hour, I'm Joe Concha, filling in for Steve Malzberg in the Steve Malzberg Show. We got a great show. We got Larry Klayman coming up at the end of the 5 o'clock hour. But before that, former vice presidential candidate and former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin will be joining me. Thanks for being here, guys. Back with more.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management plan need an extra edge for success? If so, listen up. Metabio is the revolutionary weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program. Metabio is the premium nutritional supplement power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. When used as part of a healthy lifestyle, each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's CRESCEO.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Top officials made their way to Capitol Hill Wednesday to answer more questions about the disastrous rollout of healthcare.gov. House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa called the website rollout a monumental mistake. He presented documents that show he voiced concern that the website was not secure prior to its launching. Meanwhile, former President Bill Clinton added to the mounting pressure on President Obama to fix the website and other problems, including insurance cancellation, that also continue to plague the healthcare overhaul.
I personally believe, even if it takes a change in the law, the president should honor the commitment the federal government made to those people and let them keep what they got.
Initial reports show that only 100,000 people have completed the enrollment process on the Obamacare website so far, a number that is significantly lower than what the administration was expecting by this point in the year. Official enrollment figures for the month of October will finally be released sometime later this week. And the situation in the typhoon-ravaged Philippines continues to deteriorate. A delay in relief efforts, including supplies, food, and fresh water, caused panic among survivors who have taken matters into their own hands. 8 people were crushed to death when thousands stormed a rice warehouse looking for food. Survivors have looted homes, malls, and garages, taking food, water, and other goods that they can find. Others were so desperate for clean water that they dug up pipes.
The goal of our family is to leave this city so that we can start a new life.
We provide medical aid, search and rescue, and assessments in communities so that we can better inform the government and the military what's needed.
Aid is slowly trickling in, though, but it remains a challenge as many of the roads are still blocked from the storm. A UN humanitarian chief says that they have been unable to reach some of the most remote communities. The organization launched an appeal for over $300 million in aid. The official death toll stands at well over 2,000, with at least 2 Americans among the dead. And the American Heart Association is taking a new approach when it comes to treating high cholesterol. New guidelines encourage doctors to calculate risk factors, including age, weight, and blood pressure, and then prescribe statins if a patient appears to have even a moderate risk of heart attack or stroke. Previous guidelines focused more on a person's LDL, or so-called bad cholesterol score. Heart disease is the country's #1 killer. Over 500,000 people die each year in the U.S. from heart disease, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Coming up next on our Newsmax Now update, we're joined by Mark Halperin, who co-wrote the new book Double Down, what he's saying about that comment from President Clinton, and what could it mean for Hillary come 2016. Plus, a rare orange diamond sets a record at auction. See how much someone was willing to pay for this rock.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Here is Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg. 5 o'clock, 5:06 here in the East on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for saying, you know what, screw happy hour. All right, I'm waiting until 6 o'clock because this show has been so riveting to this point. And I'm not being sarcastic. We've had a great show so far. Dave Briggs, NBC Sports, Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends, Judith Miller. I could go down the list. I mean, we've been killing it today and certainly having a great time. So thanks for being here, guys and girls. Much appreciated. We got a couple of great guests coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour. We have former vice presidential candidate, you may have heard of her, Sarah Palin. She'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Also with us now, David Horowitz. He's the founder and president of the David Horowitz Freedom Center. He's also the author of a tremendous title, by the way, The Black Book of the American Left. Horowitz, I think, has written something like 174 books, and I don't know how he turns them out because I can barely do a 700-word column without being exhausted. So, David, kudos to you on the book, and you just keep writing and writing. I don't know how you do it, but it's compelling stuff, and I thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is the first of 10 volumes on the American left.
Wow, 10 volumes. Seriously, as a writer, if I could just talk to you on that sense for a second, where do you get the motivation? I get it primarily from coffee and middle-of-the-night kind of ideas that come, but what's your motivation?
It's kind of like Ahab, pursuing the white whale.
Well done, and a perfect analogy. Hey, speaking of sinking ships, wanted to talk to you a little bit about Obamacare, and I don't think it's pretty easy to agree here, and I think even Democrats would jump on this, that this is the worst rollout of a government program in modern history, and I don't think I'm using hyperbole there.
Program. And look, the problem with Democrats is that somebody forgot to tell them that socialism doesn't work. There was no way that Obamacare could work. You can't increase the number of people covered, increase the coverage, and lower the costs. It just doesn't happen that way. And then you can't plan health care for 300 million people. There's no computer that can do that.
And this really is an indictment on government running big programs, right? I mean, it's clearly.
Yeah, they're socialists, and they haven't learned from the collapse of communism that socialism is an unworkable system. It does not work.
And you know about that firsthand, David, and just reading about you a lot, and it's fascinating that your parents were actually communists and you were once a member of the left. What turned you? I know that you had an assistant that was murdered back in the 70s and
created a funded a school for them to buy a church which they could put 150 kids. And I was editing the largest magazine of the left, Ramparts, and I recruited my bookkeeper, and they murdered her. And that murder took place about the same time that the left succeeded in driving America out of Vietnam. And the communists then proceeded to slaughter 2.5 million people. There were no demonstrations by leftists for these Vietnamese, because the left was always about its anti-Americanism. It was never about the Vietnamese. And the Democrats, of course, are still proud of what they did to help. The fact of the matter is that Valerie Jarrett and David Axelrod, the two key advisors to Obama, all were born into the communist left the way I was, all grew up in the communist left, all were trained in the communist left, then graduated to the communist new left, and have never left it. And I know that, and that's what this book, The Black Book of the American Left, is about. I know that because I did leave the left, and I will tell you, if you leave a destructive, evil movement, the first thing you want to do is to tell people, is to repudiate it and warn people about the dangers that it portends.
That's interesting. And now here we are, 40 years after the Vietnam War. I want to play a clip, David, from George Stephanopoulos. And basically, he's talking about President Obama and the entire progressive vision being in jeopardy as a result of what we've seen here from Obamacare from the last 6 months. Go ahead and roll the clip, guys. Number 9.
Even when Americans disagreed with him, they trusted him and liked him. If that personal credibility crumbles, everything else falls.
That number had always held from BP to Benghazi. That number had held, but it had started to go down. So this isn't just about Obamacare in their view.
Not at all. This is the president's signature achievement. That it would be a black mark for it not to work. But bigger than that, this has the potential to undermine his entire legacy, his entire vision of government. I went back and read the president's inaugural speech from just the beginning of this year. This was a ringing call to what he called collective action, government action. If government doesn't work here, he is not going to be able to advance that agenda for activist, ambitious government. His entire vision for his second term begins to collapse.
George Stephanopoulos, of course, was a senior member of the Clinton administration, David, and he seems to be dead on with that assessment.
Yeah, I've been saying all week that if there's a God who intervenes in history, the Democrats and the Democrats, socialists, have destroyed themselves for a generation.
Can this be fixed, David? In other words, the president talked about fixes yesterday.
How can it be fixed? Look, you can't increase the coverage and increase the coverage of the policies and increase the number of people covered and lower the costs.
So how do you put the toothpaste back in the tube?
Everything they said about Obamacare turns out to be a lie.
It's true. So we're trying to put Humpty Dumpty back together, right? I mean, what is the only way out here? It's just to repeal it and start over from scratch? Can that be done politically?
Let's go back to the old system, which people liked. I mean, the problem with health care is, first of all, trial lawyers. Part of the reason the costs are so high is because doctors have to get this, malpractice insurance because they're subject to suits all over the place. So you need tort reform. That's one. Another reason it's so high is you have all these illegals, clogging up and loading up our hospital and emergency care systems and not paying to support them. I mean, anybody who's been to an emergency room knows that, there's people in there who are going for coughs and colds, even though you can't go to an emergency room that it doesn't cost $1,000 or $2,000. So who pays? The rest of us pay. As Maggie Thatcher says, socialism runs into a wall when they find out that, they run out of other people's money.
Well, and that's true. And you make a great point about tort reform. And I guess when you have lawyers in positions of power in Washington, these things never get done. But that's the thing. And I got people close to me that work in emergency rooms, and I can tell you that, all you hear about is all these extra tests that may have to be ordered because they're so afraid they're going to be sued. And if somebody sues a doctor and they happen to lose, they have no case, no skin off their back. Lawyers just going to represent them, pro bono
we
anyway.
We need that tort reform. If you lose the case, you have to pay, to all these frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah, that's a law in Britain.
And if there are uninsured people, you just create a pool the way you do for, drivers that are too risky. So you have a pool, and there are so many ways to fix this, but it was never about care. It's about a building block of socialism. It's about taking over a sixth of the economy, and then controlling everybody's life.
Well,
look, if you're willing to use the IRS politically, if you have the health care information of everybody, if you control the access to care, that is the life chances of everybody, and if you have a spy agency that can read every communication, you don't need a secret police to create a one-party state. You already have it. You can destroy any opponent. You have the information to do it. And that's the problem with these Democrats. They don't see any problem in that that's what they want. They want to control your life because they know what's best for you.
The book is called The Black Book of the American Left. David Horowitz, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate you. Have an awesome weekend, and I'm sure you're happy about what you're seeing right now in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, this is a joyous time for conservatives.
Thank you, David. And we'll be back, everybody, in just a couple of minutes. Sarah Palin coming up at the bottom of the hour, Larry Klayman as well. As I said, we got an awesome show here for you, and we're certainly enjoying ourselves so far. So this is the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio, back in...
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metavio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metavio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metavio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metavio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetavio.com/offer for complete details. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metavio for 30 days at themetavio.com/offer. That's the METABIO.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at themetavio.com/offer.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price. That's Obamacare911.com.
BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time only. Backtopro.com/offer.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
We are not going to gut this law. We will fix what needs to be fixed, but we're going to make the Affordable Care Act work, and those who say they are opposed to it and can't offer a solution, we'll push back.
Welcome back, everybody. Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg, the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Joining us now, Douglas Holtz-Aiken. He is the former director of the Congressional Budget Office and the current president of the American Action Network. Douglas, thanks so much for joining us here on this Friday.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, I don't know if you heard, there may have been a couple of problems with Obamacare over the last couple of weeks.
Only when you turn on the TV every day.
Yeah, this is easily the low point of the Obama presidency. My question is, you were a former director of the CBO, that, like we talked about, and you read about, surprisingly, that the CBO at one point said that Obamacare would produce a surplus. And I'm wondering, were the variables in that math equation based on numbers that the administration may have provided, that, hey, we're going to get 2.7 million people signed up who are young and healthy, 7 million people overall? Is that where the surplus part came from, or what do you know about that?
Well, I think it came from a number of things. I mean, the first is that CBO has to take whatever is written in legislation at face value, even if it's clearly a budget gimmick. So let's collect taxes on what was known as the Class Act up front and ignore the spending that happens after the first 10 years. Or they have to take at face value promises to cut reimbursements to hospitals so low that even the administration's actuary was saying they're going to go out of business. So we know that's not going to happen. And they have to make some estimates of enrollment. They were the ones who estimated enrollment of 7 million in the first year, 2.7 young invincibles. The administration then adopted those numbers, but when CBO made that estimate, it had to assume how the administration would implement the law. As we've seen, they haven't implemented it very well. It's been a disaster, and those numbers look very shaky at this point.
So do you see a scenario where, now there's only 100,000 people signed up. I don't know how many young invincibles, and I like that term, are part of that 100,000 number. That's obviously just a fraction of what they need. If the president stands on this and says, no, we're going ahead with this law, we're not going to repeal it, I'm not going to make too many fixes to it just to save face, do we see a bailout coming here at some point? Because obviously the law, with the number of people that are currently enrolled, and they'll get more, I get that, but they're never going to get to that number, it appears. Do we see a bailout in the future here just to keep this law sustainable, to keep it crumbling under its own weight?
I think there are realistically two possibilities, and they're at opposite ends of the spectrum. One I've been worried about since it was passed is they actually get everything fixed, and they continue to have the lavish subsidies they have, and pretty soon nearly every employer in America gives up on the idea of providing health insurance, and they all end up dumping their employees into the exchanges. We can't afford that. That's trillions and trillions of dollars that are not in the CBO estimate or anywhere else, and we just fall under its fiscal weight. The other possibility is things continue as they are right now. And right now what is happening is people who are quite expensive and quite ill are getting the insurance for obvious reasons. The young invincibles, the young and healthy that they need in the insurance pools to pay the bills of these sicker folks are likely not showing up. If they can get their insurance company to keep on their current policy, it's going to be a lot cheaper, and they'll just stay, or they'll avoid paying for this expensive insurance and simply pay the penalty. But they don't show up and buy insurance. If that's true, then what do you end up with in 2014? Well, you end up with a relatively small program with a lot of sick people in it. Why would an insurance company want to have that as their book of business? They won't. So in 2015, they're not going to show up as much, and we'll get, again, small enrollments of sick people, and we'll end up with a government program for sick people. And that's called a high-risk pool, and that's what Obamacare could turn out to be.
I think the assumption by the Obama administration was that they ran such an effective campaign in 2012, and obviously you worked for John McCain at one point. You saw how effective they were in 2008 in terms of using technology. And I think they thought that the website would roll out easily because they were hiring the right people to do it. Clearly, they did not. Let's play a clip here, guys. Number 7, basically what it's going to talk about, or this is the president describing just how easy it was going to be to sign up for healthcare.gov. Roll the tape.
Will allow consumers to go online and compare private health care insurance plans, just like you'd compare over the internet the best deal on flat screen TVs. Buying health insurance is never going to be like buying a song on iTunes. You can look at them side by side, just like you'd go online and compare cars. You know, it's just a much more complicated transaction. Just visit healthcare.gov, and there you can compare insurance plans side by side the same way you'd shop for a plane ticket on Kayak or a TV on Amazon. I don't think I'm stupid enough to go around saying this is going to be like shopping on Amazon or Travelocity.
I love it when they string together those sort of sound bites. It just shows you where this was and where it ended up. You know, the president yesterday, Douglas, was a lot of people were commending him for taking responsibility, for saying this is on me. He must have said that on at least 3 different occasions. But that last clip was very telling, where he said, look, I'm a pretty smart guy. If I had known that this was going to roll out the way it was, then it never, ever would have been launched on October 1st. I guess the question is, how didn't he know? Why didn't he just walk into a room where they were testing it and saying, hey, guys, how's this going on October 1st? Try to go on himself. Something. Why wasn't the execution there? Is that because the president is about symbolism, but when it comes to actually following through with things, he just doesn't seem interested? Or somebody dropped the ball in his cabinet, just isn't talking to him?
I think this is the most important question, and it's because it tells you that the president has a culture around him that doesn't tell him bad news that he needs to know. And it's caused him tremendous political problems and personal pain, obviously, in this instance. But it should have been the case that people were waving flags and saying, we have a problem with the website. The Secretary of HHS should have known. The Secretary should have told the President, and an informed President probably would have made a different decision. The fact that he found out after the fact says something is wrong with the culture of decision-making in the White House. And that troubles me because that's beyond health care. That's everything that he does, and he's the President of the United States. I worked in 2 White Houses, and I could not imagine that on the President's signature initiative, he was not fully informed of the state of play. That's remarkable to me.
You know, and we got about 30 seconds, so just a quick question. I'm reading Double Down now, and it's a great book, and it talks about how the president only met with his cabinet once in 2012, an election year, that he really seems to lean on his advisors. Is that part of the culture that you're talking about, that it's strictly about politics and not so much about execution?
Very much. My impression is that the policy people, the ones who are always the bearers of bad news in a political...
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
And the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
More of a first lieutenant, but regardless, filling in for Steve Malzberg today. Joe Concha, thanks for being here, everybody. Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio, and now we're here for the big interview, which was with Sarah Palin. This was earlier in the week. We were down in HarperCollins here in New York City. And just before we toss to this, we talk about a whole range of political items, and we talked about her book as well in a separate interview that you could see on Newsmax.com. But, you know, I think if Governor Palin had the chance to do this over again, she probably wouldn't launch this book the same week that Chris Christie won a 22-point victory in New Jersey, in the blue state, in being now coronated in certain circles as the Republican nominee in 2016. Because all she had to do while she was going from interview to interview, whether it be Jake Tapper with CNN, whether it be Matt Lauer with NBC, whether it be me with Newsmax, the first question everybody wanted to know was, wow, what do you think of Chris Christie? Not exactly a favorite of the Tea Party, even though that always baffled me because, wow, he cuts taxes and he's balancing budgets and he's busting unions and he's a tough-talking maverick. He's kind of like Palin in many ways, but for whatever reason, conservatives have not embraced Christie, mainly for the cultural aspects and because he's a Northeast Republican and maybe they don't want another Romney. So regardless, the governor was forced to answer a couple of questions from me about Chris Christie, about John Boehner, about a whole slew of topics. Sarah Palin, Joe Concha, Harper Collins earlier in the week. Let's roll the tape. I want to talk about politics for a moment. There's a lot going on, obviously, November. We're in an off election year, but there were 2 big elections last week. One election was in my home state of New Jersey. Chris Christie, he's a tax-cutting, union-busting, budget-balancing, tough-talking maverick. Kind of sounds familiar. Those sound like the traits of your typical Tea Party candidate, yet he's not the #1 choice of Sarah Palin in 2016. Why is that?
Well, first, hey, a Republican governor in a blue state, right on, beats the alternative. You know, I'm happy for New Jersey to have a Republican governor, because hopefully the Republican governor will understand that we need to make government, all levels, especially the federal government, as irrelevant in our lives as possible, and empower the people to make decisions for themselves and spend their income the way that they desire and manage their health care the way that they desire.
But conservatives don't accept him.
Well, the conservatives accept the budget busting agenda of any politician, you know, in order to make government live within its means. But as for, and I think maybe what the suggested question here is, how would he do in a presidential race? How would he do nationwide? That remains to be seen, because so many Americans, me included, me being a proud participant in that grassroots movement that is referred to as the Tea Party, we are tired of politicians kind of vacillating on some very fundamental issues, say amnesty for one. Let's talk one specific issue. When we are a pro-immigration nation, we want people to come in recognizing how exceptional America is. We want them to work hard for the awesome benefits and blessings of America, but we want right out of the chute them not to break our law, because we are, governed.
So it's more
by
on
law.
cultural issues where you may have some differences with Governor Christie,
Well,
gay marriage or immigration.
I just absolutely want to make sure that the next GOP candidate can so excite and encourage and empower the American people that we want to get out there and vote for that person and for their message and for their agenda, instead of just voting against the statist, big government, socialized policies that no doubt the far left Democrat will be representing. We want something to vote for, not just against.
Gotcha. You said about Governor Christie in August that he's for big government and trying to go along just to get along.
Too often, that is what we see, and not just necessarily Chris Christie, but so many politicians think that this is a time to compromise with the left, take Obamacare. Politicians ran on the idea of replacing Obamacare with something that's market-centered, patient-centered, something that allows competition in the marketplace of health care coverage. And yet, when it came time to stand up and defund it, which is the legislative tool that Congress holds to get rid of a policy that is a train wreck for this country, too many politicians waved the white flag instead and didn't stand with senators like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, who were fulfilling their campaign promise to do all that they could to defund, to replace Obamacare. So that's a disappointment.
Okay, so the government was partially shut down. You called it a slim down.
Slim down. Oh yeah, what, 16 days of 17% of the government kind of turning down the volume of its expenditures and its activities. That was not a shutdown.
But there were political ramifications, particularly in Virginia with Cuccinelli. You had all those government workers in Northern Virginia that pushed Terry McAuliffe over the finish line. It was a very close race. If there was no government shutdown, some argue that Cuccinelli probably wins
Well, then
that race.
it's too bad that the mainstream media put the blame on the Republicans for this quasi-shutdown. Harry Reid, Barack Obama, they had opportunity to keep things open. We have billions of dollars coming into the federal government every day that could fund the essential services and pay service on our debt. There was no need to shut anything down. And Harry Reid led the shutdown, and yet the lamestream media put the blame on the Republicans. And I think Republicans didn't fight hard enough to get that message out that, hey, it wasn't our choice to shut things down. They were the ones the political party in power, they're the ones who decided to do it.
So if you were in a position of power and you were running the Republican Party, would you do it again if given the opportunity, go with that strategy?
I would go with that strategy with better messaging. The messaging being, we're not going to throw the good guys under the bus. We're not going to throw Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul under the bus and send this message to Americans that it's okay, A, not to hold your politicians accountable for what they ran on, and B, that it's okay for politicians to tell us one thing in a campaign and turn right around and do the opposite. That's not cool. And I'm talking both sides of the aisle on this too. Certainly don't want to be seen as just slamming the Republicans, because the bigger problem is the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party being led by far leftists who want to shove down our throats these socialist ideas of health care that takes over 1/6 of our economy, and regulations that are going to shut down business and industry and energy developments that will make us more and more of a bankrupt and beholden to other nations' country. America deserves better than that.
Given the rollout of Obamacare and how disastrous it's been, and Democrats and Republicans pretty much agree on that. We're 6 weeks in now. Higher deductibles, higher premiums, people losing their plans, losing doctors that they're comfortable with. Are you surprised that Kathleen Sebelius still has a job?
I am surprised. You know, having been a boss, having an administration under me and in the private sector too, no, I would replace a person that has so screwed up a rollout. But you know, the rollout itself, the screw up, the broken website that now Barack Obama says, oh, we're going to bring in the best and the brightest now to fix this website. I don't give a flying flip about a malfunctioning website, the website fixer-uppers that are going to come in. These best and brightest, supposedly they've been calling the shots for a long time, and what do they have to show for it? No, a broken website is the least of our worries. The greater worry is what Obamacare is all about, and an even greater worry than that is Obamacare being a symptom of this agenda that is stifling, it's strangling our economy, and it's a big, growing, burdensome government that would want to take over too much of a free market and a free people.
Interesting. Let me just get back to Governor Christie for one more question on that. You've said in the past that you would support a third-party candidate. If Governor Christie got the 2016 Republican nomination, are you still open to that idea?
It depends on who else is out there at the time. I'm not so anti Chris Christie that it's not like I wouldn't give him a chance to make sure that what it is that he stands for and his record would have to reflect this recognition that America is going bankrupt and we can't rely on the federal government to continue to bail out businesses and communities, and that then making our freedoms fade and making our free market be stifled. I would want to make sure that any candidate, not just Chris Christie, understands the import of empowering the people, individuals, our own businesses, our own families to make decisions for ourselves, not big government.
Using a grading scale, A to F, how would you rate John Boehner's performance as Speaker to this point?
Oh, that's a tough question to answer, because I'm not on the inside, and I don't necessarily
just as an observer
ever want to be on the inside of how that machine works. I think it's both sides of the aisle. It's kind of a malfunctioning machine, so really tough to put a letter grade on it. But I respect the fact that he's a Republican, and he's kind of like this hockey goalie who's trying to deflect as many pucks of President Obama as possible, and I appreciate that aspect of him.
You endured a lot of slings and arrows, obviously, as a vice presidential candidate, and even since, particularly from left media. What if one of your kids came to you and said, Mom, I want to run for public office? Would you think it's a good idea, given how polarized and how nasty things are out there?
I would think it's a great idea, because I know that my kids have a strong foundation of faith in America, the American people. They so respect the freedom that we have here in America, and because my kids have been through so much, not just on a political level, but on a personal level, with their biggest brother serving in war zones, their littlest brother who has some special needs and will face more challenges than most any of us ever will. Our family having gone through so much, I think my children would be well equipped to have a servant's heart, which is exactly what we need in America in terms of politics.
Final question. Talked a lot about your book today. What's the next chapter in Sarah Palin's life? We hear about a Senate run possibly in Alaska.
Mm.
You're obviously re-signed with Fox. What's next for Sarah Palin?
Well, I don't have the crystal ball, of course, to know politically what will happen, but I certainly enjoy what I'm doing now, and that is trying to empower the American public, to remind them that they have a voice, that if they stiffen their spines and stand for what they believe in, they'll see that other spines around them are stiffened too, and that we then together can put this country back on the right course. We don't have to be a country that is bankrupt, that has this miserable economy, and that has freedoms being eroded out from under built America, and integrity, and the time-tested truths of following the Constitution to defend our republic. I want to empower people to know that they can do it.
Well, you certainly seem to be enjoying this aspect of your life, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
The book is Good Tidings and Great Joy, Protecting the Heart of Christmas. Again, if you want to see our conversation about the book, about angry atheists who are apparently very dangerous people in this country, at least the ones that have lawyers anyway, and threatening the heart of Christmas, as Ms. Palin described it. And just to give you a little preview, basically, she takes on retail stores that have Happy Holiday signs instead of Merry Christmas signs. She takes on folks that are arguing against, say, a children's Christmas program only having Christmas songs that aren't Little Drummer Boy, that take religion, take Christ out of Christmas. So whatever your opinion is on that, regardless, it's an interesting read, and certainly the Fox War on Christmas has done great ratings for that network, so this is an extension of that, and I think you would enjoy it. Sarah Palin joining me at HarperCollins on Monday. Next up, Larry Klayman joins me on Newsmax TV and Newsmax Radio. This is Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg.
Larry works on the construction site when he's not held up with constipation. Mary sits all day at a desk, which does little to relieve gas and bloating. You can't schedule abdominal discomfort, but you can help alleviate it with Bactipro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Bactipro is the fiber probiotic supplement that comes in the form of an easy-to-eat, tasty wafer. It includes the most essential ingredients necessary to help support your healthy digestive and immune function. Experience the results. Learn how you can receive a 30-day supply of Bactipro. Just visit Bactipro.com/offer. All you cover is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Do something about your digestive health now. Get your 30-day supply at Bactipro.com/offer. That's BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time only. Bactipro.com/offer.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Welcome back, everybody. Joe Concha filling in for Steve Malzberg, the Steve Malzberg Show. Newsmax TV, Newsmax Radio. Coming to the end of what's been really a fun ride here. We've had Brian Kilmeade, we've had Sarah Palin, we've had Judith Miller, we've had Dave Briggs. Just one great guest after another. We've covered a whole bunch of topics and certainly have had some fun today. So thanks for allowing me into your living room or onto your radio dial. Certainly have appreciated the time here today. And we're not done yet. You know, we have Larry Klayman on the line with us right now. He's the founder of Judicial Watch, founder of Freedom Watch, and apparently is going to make life miserable for President Obama in about 4 days in Washington, D.C. Larry, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about this Reclaim America event that you have coming up. It's now 4 days away. You're going to march basically en masse into Washington, D.C. The president has enough problems, it appears, right now. So I'm sure he's going to be glad to see you. Tell us a little bit more about the event, who the confirmed speakers are, and just let our audience know what they can do to participate.
People can check it out on our website at reclaimamericanow.net, reclaimamericanow.net. And what it'll show you is that we're starting peacefully and nonviolently the Second American Revolution. The people are rising up. They've had it not just with Obama and all of his scandals and Obamacare and NSA spying and everything else. They've had it also with some Republican leaders as well. And we're going to make our voice known. When your grievances aren't heard, as our Declaration of Independence said, it's time for the people to alter, amend, or abolish their system of government and install a new form of government. We want the government responsible to the people. And yes, we have some great speakers. We have Alan Keyes. He's going to be there. We have former Congressman and U.S. Attorney Bob Barr. We have people supporting us like Pat Boone, the movie star singer, Morgan Brittany. People from all walks of life. You have to take a look at ReclaimAmericaNow.net because we're all coming together. And this is the first time, really, in a long time, that conservative groups and libertarian groups and others have come together. It's a little bit what Franklin said in the days leading up to the revolution. Either we all hang together or separately we'll hang, because this country is going down the drain quickly. And Obama, of course, in my view, is evil. I think he is someone who is bent on destroying this country. and we have to rise up and save the country from this tyrant.
Well, your opposition to President Obama is well known, but I noticed that you said also that you're going to be taking this event, this message to Republican leaders as well. Care to name a few by name, and who do you really have a beef with as far as the GOP establishment is concerned?
Well, it's a very big Tea Party contingent that's coming, and others, bikers and people from all walks of life, truckers, you name it. John Boehner's rolled over. The Republicans have enabled Obama to do the significant damage that he's done. And I'll give you a good example. Look at this Obamacare mess. Yes, it's a disaster on the standpoint of the Democrats, but the Republicans knew this was going to happen. They have experts in medical care. They never warned the American people about this. And in fact, they're going on TV now, gloating, smiling. This is going to give them the Congress in the year 2014 and perhaps the president in 2016. But what about the cancer patients who don't have doctors anymore and don't have insurance policies and are dying? It's a cynical political game. And while Obama is a socialist, while he favors Muslim interests, while I believe he's anti-American and wants to destroy the country and remold it in his own image, the Republicans have sat by and allowed him to do it. So they're equally as guilty as far as I'm concerned, and that's why we're calling for the resignations of Obama, of John Boehner, of Mitch McConnell, and others. And it's time that the American people took control of their own government.
Larry, if you were in the position of power, a kingmaker, where you could say, you know what, I want this person to be the next Speaker of the House. Obviously, it's not John Boehner. Who do you see as the rising star, the guy that could really lead the Republican Party in the image that you'd like to see it led?
I don't see any right now. And that's why weeks after we hold this mass demonstration...
Not even a Ted Cruz, Larry?
Peaceful invasion. Well, Ted Cruz not in the House. He's in the Senate.
Right.
I do like Ted Cruz, and I'm leaving it open that he may mature into somebody with courage. But let me tell you what happened here. You know, I was at the Veterans Million March 3 weeks ago, and I was there with Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Sarah Palin, and I like all of them. But we invited them to this Reclaim America Now demonstration, and it's okay to go on Fox News and pontificate. It's okay to play political games. When push comes to shove, these people are nowhere to be found. They should be here with the people at this event, just like Obama should have been with the veterans 3 weeks ago at the World War II Memorial. So, you know, I'm very skeptical. I've been doing this, you know, for many years, decades. I started Judicial Watch in '94. I started Freedom Watch after I ran for the Senate in Florida and didn't win and came out and started Freedom Watch. And the government has just totally collapsed, and there's nobody there that has courage. You know, NSA is a big thing. We've got a hearing on Monday before a federal judge, 11:30, courtroom 18, 3rd and Constitution Avenue. I invite people to come.
In about 15 seconds, Larry.
He's considering whether to enjoin the NSA over its overly broad, massive surveillance of American citizens. And I'll give you an example of somebody puts a lot of credence in, and that's Rand Paul. Rand Paul promised to support us in this. He promised to bring a class action. Well, it was yours truly and Freedom Watch that had to do it.
Well, Larry, we appreciate you joining us, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but unfortunately we're up against it. It is Renew America. It's happening November 19th in D.C. I'm sure you're going to hear about it. Larry, thanks so much for joining us.
AmericaNow.net. Thank you.
And this is Joe.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection